doppelganger is a biologically unrelated lookalike or a double of a living person. In fiction and mythology, a doppelganger is often portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomenon and is usually seen as a harbinger of bad luck. Other traditions and stories equate a doppelganger with an evil twin. In modern times, the term twin stranger is occasionally used. English speakers have only recently applied this German word to a paranormal concept. Francis Gross's Provincial Glossary of 1787 used the term fetch instead, defined as the apparition of a person living. Catherine Crow's book on paranormal phenomena, The Night Side of Nature, in 1848, helped make the German word well known. The concept of alter ego and double spirits has appeared in the folklore, myths, religious concepts, and traditions of many cultures throughout human history. In ancient Egyptian mythology, a ka was a tangible spirit double having the same memories and feelings as the person whom the counterpart belongs. The Greek princess represents an Egyptian view of the Trojan War in which a ka of Helen misleads Paris, helping to stop the war. This mimic sense also appears in the Euripides play Helen and in Norse mythology. A vardogar is a ghostly double who is seen performing the person's actions in advance. In Finnish mythology, this pattern is described as having an etienen, a first-comer. Many majority Muslim countries have the concept of a Karen, which is a potentially benevolent or harmful spirit in the same sex, race, and parallel temperament as the person it's connected to. It bears children which are the spirit doubles of the person's children, and in some places the Karen is the opposite sex of the person it represents. When malicious, it often tries to persuade the person it's connected to into following their bad whims. Some Sufi mystics pictured the Karen as a devil residing in the blood and hearts of humans. It is more popular in some countries than others. For example, it's more popular in Egypt than Sudan. In Joseph Wright's English Dialect Dictionary, it was listed as a North Country term and as obsolete. Isaac Walton claimed that John Donne, the English metaphysical poet, saw his wife's doppelganger in 1612 in Paris on the same night as the stillbirth of their daughter. This account first appears in the edition of Life of Dr. Rizvan Rising, published in 1675. It's attributed to a person of honour, told with such circumstances and such asseveration that I verily believe that he told it to me, did himself believe it to be true. And it goes. 2 days after their arrival there, Mr. Dunn was left alone in that room in which Sir Robert and he and some other friends had dinner together. To this place Sir Robert returned within a half an hour, and, as he left, so he found Mr. Dunn alone, but in such ecstasy, and so altered as to his looks, as amazed Sir Robert to behold him in so much that he earnestly desired Mr. Dunn to declare befallen him in the short time of his absence, to which Mr. Dunn was not able to make a present answer, but, after a long and perplexing pause, did at last say, I have seen a dreadful vision since I saw you. I have seen my dear wife pass twice by me through this room with her hair hanging about her shoulders and a dead child in her arms. This I have seen since I saw you. To which Sir Robert replied, Sure, sir, you have slept since I saw you, and this is the result of some melancholy dream which I desire you to forget, for you are now awake. To which Mr. Dunn's reply was, I cannot be surer that I now live than that I have not slept since I saw you, and am assured that her second appearing she stopped, looked me in the face, and vanished. R.C. Bald and R.E. Bennett questioned the veracity of Walton's account. On July the 8th, 1822, the English poet Percy Bysshe Shelley drowned in the Bay of Spezia near Lerici in Italy. On August 15th, while staying at Pisa, Percy's wife Mary Shelley, an author and editor, wrote a letter to Maria Gisborne in which she relayed Percy's claim to her that he had met his own doppelganger. A week after Mary's nearly fatal miscarriage, in the early hours of June 23rd, Percy had a nightmare about the house collapsing in a flood, and also, talking it over the next morning, he told me that he had many visions lately. He had seen the figure of himself which he met as he walked on the terrace and said to him, How long do you mean to be content? No very terrific words and certainly not prophetic of what has occurred, but Shelley had often seen these figures when ill, and the strangest thing is that Mrs. Williams saw him. Now Jane, though a woman of sensibility, has not much imagination and is not in the slightest degree nervous, neither in dreams or otherwise. She was standing one day, the day before I was taken ill, at a window that looked on the terrace with Trelawney. It was day. She saw, as she thought, Shelley pass by the windows, as he often was then, without a coat or jacket. He passed again, now as he passed both times the same way, and as from the side towards which he went, each time there was no way to get back except past the window again, except over a wall 20 feet from the ground. She was struck at seeing him pass twice thus, and looked out, and seeing him no more, she cried, "Good God, can Shelley have leapt from the wall? Where can he be gone?" Shelley said, "Trelawney, no Shelley has passed." "What do you mean?" Trelawney says that she trembled exceedingly when she heard this, and it proved indeed that Shelley had never been on the terrace and was far off at the time that she saw him. Near the end of Book 11 of his autobiography, Dichtung und Wahrheit, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote, almost in passing, "Amid all this pressure and confusion, I could not forego seeing Frederica once more. Those were painful days, the memory of which has not remained with me. When I reached her my hand from my horse, the tears stood in her eyes, and I felt very uneasy. I now rode along the footpath towards Drissenheim, and here one of the most singular forebodings took possession of me. I saw, not with the eyes of the body, but with those of the mind, my own figure coming toward me, on horseback and on the same road, attired in a dress which I had never worn. It was pike grey, with somewhat of gold. As soon as I shook myself out of this dream, the figure had entirely disappeared. It is strange, however, that 8 years afterwards, I found myself on the very road to pay one more visit to Frederica, in the dress of which I had dreamed, and which I wore, not from choice, but by accident. However, it may be with matters of this kind generally, this strange illusion, in some measure, calmed me at the moment of parting. The pain of quitting for ever noble Alsace, with all that I had gained in it, was softened, and having at last escaped the excitement of a farewell, I, on a peaceful and quiet journey, pretty well regained my self-possession. This is an example of a doppelganger which was perceived by the observer to be both benign and reassuring. A Victorian age example was the supposed appearance of Vice Admiral Sir George Tryon. He was said to have walked through the drawing room of his family home in Eaton Square, London, looking straight ahead without exchanging a word to anyone, in front of several guests at a party being given by his wife on the 22nd of June 1893, while he was supposed to be in a ship off the Mediterranean squadron, manoeuvring off the coast of Syria. Subsequently, it was reported that he had gone down with his ship HMS Victoria that very same night, after it collided with HMS Camperdown, following an unexplained and bizarre order to turn the ship in the direction of the other vessel. A popular story about King Umberto I of Italy tells of the king eating in a restaurant and discovering the owner was his dead ringer double. The story goes that upon talking to the man, Umberto learned of a string of coincidences between their lives, such as the two men had been born in the same town on the same day, and had both married a woman with the same name, and the restaurant had opened on the day of Umberto's coronation. Umberto's assassination in 1900 is said to have happened on the same day that he heard the news that the restaurateur had died in a shooting. With the advent of social media, there have been several reported cases of people finding their twin stranger online, a modern term for doppelganger. There are several websites where users can upload a photo of themselves, and facial recognition software attempts to match them with another user of like appearance. Some of these sites report that they have found numerous living doppelgangers.
If you like that, then check out our Patreon, where for just $5 a month you get access to exclusive shows like Real Monsters and Playing with Bones with Amy Rose, along with early access to all our minisodes and ad-free access to the Weekend Update and It's Alive! Not convinced yet? Well, head on over now and have 7 days on us. That's a 7-day free trial for all new members. That's It's Alive Pod on Patreon. It's Alive! All the guts and go with none of the guilt. See you on Wednesdays, unless you're on Patreon when you get us all week long.